Good morning, everybody. I would like to welcome you to the second of the morning sessions today, which is the session on the regional cooperation, building spatial data infrastructure for better governance. As we know and as we have seen, the INSPIRE is a broad legal framework that allows interoperability and sharing of information among different private and public actors. For me, coming from the European Commission, it's always important that we have the ability to get access to the data from the member states, but not only from the member states, from the central authorities, but also from the regional and local authorities, because the implementation of the environmental policy actually happens on the ground. So it's the role of the local and regional administrations in the environmental governance is key. And we are very glad that already at this stage we are able to see many very interesting and forward-taking initiatives of the regional layer of the administration in the member states. So we are going to have today 4 presentations, possibly 5 if the last speaker, whom I cannot identify for the moment, will join us later on. And let me start with the presentation which has been prepared by our hosts at the INSPIRE conference here in Barcelona, by the colleagues from the Ministry of Territory and Sustainability of the government of Catalonia. Now, the presentation has been presented by and prepared by actually 7 colleagues, 7 experts, who work in the different units of the Department of Territory and Sustainability, and all are members of the Committee on Geographic Information Department. And they have formed a team responsible for the working group, which is called Towards 2020. So the presentation will be Toward 2020 regarding geographic information in the Department of Land and Sustainability. And I would like to invite Carme to actually deliver the presentation on behalf of the ministry. Carme, the floor is yours.
Good morning. In this presentation, we are talking about the work done in the Department of Territory and Sustainability to define the strategic lines from now to the year 2020 in the field of geographic information. In 2010, the Generalitat, the government of Catalonia, created the Department of Territory and Sustainability, joining partially the Department of Environment and Housing, joining only the part of environment, with the Department of Territory, Policy and Public Works. 2 different teams, platforms and GI and geographic information systems should be integrated to create the new one. And that was a problem. It has a big complexity. Moreover, in 2014, a new objective was added to the Department of Territory and Sustainability to create a portal that integrates not only the geographic information of the department, but also in the future, the geographic information produced by all departments of the Generalitat. This is a first version of the portal, of the new portal of the Generalitat. We can see in the middle a section of news, and above on right we can see a map of judicial districts for Catalonia, elaborated by the Department of Justice, and below it a map about the protected natural zones of Catalonia, elaborated in this case by the Department of Territory and Sustainability, two different departments, very different departments in the same portal. In 2012, the Commission of Geographic Information, called GeoCom, was created to coordinate the geographic and cartographic tasks that involve the different units of the Department of Territory and Sustainability. Its members are technicians and experts representing the different DTS areas. Principles of these commissions are transversally, multidisciplinary, transfer of information and knowledge. The decisions in these commissions are taken by majority. Meetings are held at minimum 3 times per year. Several years we have meetings 6 times a year. In 2013, the European Parliament and the Europa Council approved the 7th Environmental Action Programme for this year, the 2015 to the 2020. One of the priority objectives of this 7th environmental program, specifically the 5th priority, is to implement a new database information to allow the policymaker and the stakeholder to make the political decisions. GeoCom was created before the approval of this environmental program, but one of the objectives of the GeoCom is to produce a very good geographical information to allow the policymaker, the governance of Catalonia, to make the good decisions in the environmental policy. In the year 2015, inside the GeoCom, the Commission on Information and Cartographic Information, a working group was created, a working group called Toward the 2020. The objective of this working group was, throughout the year 2015, to define the strategic lines in geographic information from now to 2020. Also, to contribute to achieve the priority 5th objective of the 7th program Environmental Action Program, and also to contribute to design the new corporative GIS portal. Three very hard objectives. What is the methodology that used this grouping group to define the strategic lines? The methodology used was the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This methodology has 2 parts. One, internal analysis. In the internal analysis, we can study or can analyze the competitive advantages or disadvantages, the strengths and the weaknesses of the action the department in the field of geographic information in terms of production, which is our production of cartography, public access, how many people access to our cartography, our organizations, the resources that we have, our products, and also the innovation of our products. The second part of the methodology is an external analysis. External analysis to identify, analyze threats and opportunities that give competitive advantages or disadvantages to the action of the Department of Territory and Sustainability in terms of who are our target, the target who are our public, which are its needs, the needs of our public, also our sector, the other products of geographic information, new trends, the organization, the companies, competition or cooperation with other suppliers, other organizations, identify and evaluate the actors, and also the environment, our environment, factors that we cannot control as an official department, as a government, department of the government, such as economical, political, legal, social, and technological factors. The procedure we have done to do the SWOT analysis. This analysis was done in 2 sessions of discussion in group and in a closing section. In this session participated more than 90 people from the departments of the Generalitat and municipalities. The first session was devoted to analyze, to study the current situation of geographic information in our department. And the second session was more focused on to define the strategic lines and the way to follow from the 2015 to the year 2020. The people were divided into groups with 10 members every one. In every group there was a relator and a moderator, and a relator that makes the resume of the proposals that were studied in the session. More than 150 proposals were made. The working group classified these 150 proposals in 5 groups. It's clear that every group belongs to every group. It defines a strategic line. In a closing session, these 5 strategic lines were approved. What are these strategic lines, or which are these strategic lines? We can see. The strategic, we can also think that one strategic line is a very generally line, and also each strategic line had also involve other actions to implement the strategic line. For example, we have the strategic line number 1, assurance of the quality of geographic information understood as a key element for planning and management. But this also strategic line involves, for the Department of Land, of Territory and Sustainability, promoting rules and laws of Catalonia that take into account the official geographic information and no other information, geographic information as Google Maps and etc. and so on. No? Line 2 is promotion of the standardization, interoperability, transparency, and preservation of data sets of GI. This line 2 also involves promoting internally and externally the geographic information produced, promoting also inside the department and outside the department the cartography produced by us. And also another very important line, fixing a system for preserving the geographic information, not only the actual information that we produce, but also the old information produced in years before, and how to preserve the programs, the computers, the platforms in them the old information goes. The line number 3 is promotion of the synergies between all the stakeholders in the development of the geographic information. That also involves creating spaces for thinking, communication, and coordination. And we think that GeoCom is an example of this. And also establishing actions and projects of cooperation between producers and or consumers of GI. An example that we try to implement is the cooperative GI portal, which the old information, the geographic information for the all departments of the Generalitat, the regional government of Catalonia. Line 4, ensurance the allocation of human, financial, and technological resources, and its efficient management to solve geographic information users' needs. That line also involves promoting the formation of final users and, in a broader perspective, the public in general, give to the public in general a good information to work with the geographic information, a good formation to work with geographic information. And finally, the line number 5 is to consolidate GeoCom as a promoter of the use of geographic information in decision-making. That also involves strengthening the role of GE technicians, the geographic information technicians that in GeoCom speak make approvals of different technical aspects or other aspects, and also to strengthening the role of GEOCOM as a prescriber committee. I think that strengthening the role of GEOCOM as a prescriber committee is also to strengthen the role of GE technician. These two lines work together. Well, thanks for your attention, and this is a photography of the closing session of the closing session of our work. Thank you. That is all.
Don't leave. Thanks a lot, Carmen. I think this was a very good example showing that the building of the SDI needs to be really an open, transparent, and inclusive process to take on board all the stakeholders, and you really did it. So thanks a lot for your presentation, and I would like to give now an opportunity to the audience to ask you questions. May you have any? Okay, if there are no questions for the moment, you can always ask the questions at the end. Thanks a lot. So let's now move to our second speaker, Peter, who is working for the Flemish government within the government of Flanders, and who will actually give us the presentation on the spatial planning and the spatial zoning plans exchange platforms in Flanders. So, Peter, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you everybody coming to this session. I think this is mine. Yes. Okay, as the chairman said, I'm Peter Willems, and I work as a coordinator of geo-information in the Spatial Development Department of Flanders in Belgium. You might know, depending on what business you have, how difficult it could be to have spatial zoning plans on your desk at the moment you really need them. Being an architect or a notary, so using it in professional activities, or just a citizen who has, for instance, a building project. So that is what this presentation is about, to deal with this problem. My presentation will consist of the following parts you see here. Now, as I presented the platform last year already, I will go a bit quicker on the first part about the elements and the technical parts, and pay a bit more attention to the startup and the real added value we would like to generate with this platform, especially for local governments, because we are now in the phase that local governments are really participating, so it's really becoming an exchange platform. And that's new regarding to last year. And that was, of course, the final purpose also to become an exchange platform. Okay, so the problem we are tackling here is that still today is the same situation, that in our region, which has the full competence of spatial planning, so that's important to mention. We have enacted already like thousands of spatial zoning plans, and that is done by all three administrative levels and over more than 50 years already. So we have a lot of them together and at figure, so they are all there. But at the moment we still have no geographical digital survey available of all these valid spatial zoning plans. And watch every word here, a survey which is complete, so every plan is in it, which is continually updated, and which is reliable. It's not that nothing is there, but it's there are quite some gaps in the information, and that's what we are working on now. So to tackle that problem, we decided a few years ago to develop like a generic platform for digital exchange of all this information. And we did this together with the local governments. Well, we are building it as a department, as a Flemish department, but they are involved in the concepts and the strategy to work this out. So we're doing this really together. So we decided to build this platform where every participant who has the competence of establishing spatial zoning plans and regulations, which are in Flanders the 3 administrative levels, so the region, the provinces, and the municipalities. And every participant has can upload his own geographical or other data and use those of the other participants. That's the purpose. So that's quite a complex task. You might consider that also, but to go forward with this kind of complex tasks, you have to define a good scope and try to watch over the scope during the process or change it when it's necessary. So concerning to data, the scope in the first place are the zoning plans, and we have quite a lot of different zoning plans. It's quite heterogeneous. We have older ones like this one from the region, which are made already in the 70s. We have newer ones from the Flemish region, made by the Flemish regions. Since 1999, also the provinces can make spatial zoning plans, and we have municipal plans, which are even older than 50 years already, or newer ones also, which are related to newer decrees. But the scope is not only spatial zoning plans stricto sensu, it's also these kinds of instruments which are actually fiscal or financial instruments linked to the spatial zoning plans. These are zones where possible plan benefits are detected, and this could lead to a kind of tax for people who owning certain terrains here. But this is linked to the spatial zoning plans. And also for these kinds of plans, exchange of geo-information is necessary. So that's why we put it in the scope. Another example is expropriation plans linked to the spatial zoning plans. Or another instrument which is similar to spatial zoning plans, but it's something different, is the spatial ordinances. They have no really geographical factor, but they always apply on all the administrative boundary of a municipality or another unit. Okay, in brief, this is the scope at this moment. So the spatial zoning plans as such. Then derived projects like this financial plan benefits or rights of preemption, that's another example, or spatial ordinances. Then we also took into account procedural advices because all these plans follow a procedure and some agencies need to give an official advice, so we decided to put this on the platform also. This is almost operational at the moment. And then I have to mention an important difference we make between new and existing plans. We have to recognize from the beginning already that we will never reach the same quality standards for existing plans than we will reach for new plans. So there will be a difference, and this has to be clear on the platform, the status of every plan, which are the quality standards. I will come back to that later. Concerning data format, the scope is, well, in the first place, it's a geo platform, so it has the geographical objects of all the spatial zoning plans with the different quality standards, as I mentioned a second ago. So it could be in vector, raster, whatever. We also put the documents or to go together with the plans on the platform, so that not everything is dispersed. And of course, the advices I mentioned already. This is the scope, the technical scope of the Exchange platform, where you see in the center the platform as such, as like two databases, a transaction database and publication database. And here we have the input side, where a kind of upload interface for participants is there. In the near future, we will also try to work with direct synchronization from, let's say, local infrastructures, but it's not many local governments have this already. And on the output side, we have typically the services, in case of the OGC services for geographical data and metadata, and some more specified SOAP services for certain consultation, especially. Excuse me. Yeah, so here is everything together. The platform as such I mentioned already, and then on the left-hand side you see the screenshot of the upload interface. We also have some tools to help local governments. Come back to that later also. And we have a guideline and standards book, which is an integration of existing guidelines and standards. Of course, this kind of development you cannot do only building the platform. Some accompanying measures are necessary. We have to always keep working on the quality of the data, do some communication initiatives, as I'm doing today, make some legal stipulations, work on the organizational structure. And also we built a specific geo viewer, so to make, because the platform as such is a back office solution, nobody has real, or users don't have direct access to it. So we thought it important to build a viewer also. If I have time at the end, I will give a quick demo of that viewer, how it is at this moment. Okay, then the startup. As I said, it's quite a complex task, so we detected, like, as in a factory, like 3 production lines, because we have the 3 administrative levels creating data in scope of this platform, and we cannot start up everything at once. So the regional line, so our data of the region, the regional department, we started already in September 2014 in production. That means that all our data were in scope, were available on the platform. But because, of course, at that moment it wasn't yet an exchange platform. But since last year, the first municipalities and provinces are stepping in, so now we can really talk about an exchange platform on different administrative levels. Of course, there are always preconditions for a startup. The platform has to be stable. It hasn't been the case yet always, but I guess now it's a bit improving, but we have some bad periods also. We are monitoring that also. Spatineo, for instance, monitors the services. You have to have a good fine-tuning with administrative processes, because they are creating the data, they are doing the business. Enough start data, communication, and a lot of support, especially to the local governments. When they are stepping in, they really need support, and therefore we detected like a 3-phase trajectory to accompany then the local governments. The first phase is like a preparatory phase. It's really an informal phase where we give a lot of information, workshops to the local governments, and where we, together with them, or we support them preparing in the first place their existing plans for upload. Excuse me. We have worked out some upload scenarios for this. So we try to give a customized support and make bilateral agreements with them. Then the second phase is really a formal phase of stepping in. This is registered, so we register the moment that they're really formally stepping in, and it has some consequences as such. For instance, well, then we expect that all new plans have to be uploaded according to the new guidelines. So all new plans. And what about the existing plans? Well, there we expect at least they are this is in process, and we fix like a target date to finish the job. At the beginning, we thought every existing plan has to be on the platform before they formally step in, but we don't think that is feasible, so we smoothened this objective a little bit. Another consequence is that existing guidelines, because there were some guidelines of exchange before the existence of the platform, they are not applicable anymore. That's quite obvious. If you go to a new era, you shouldn't go back to the previous era. Then they have to understand at the moment they're formally stepping in that their data and documents are publicly accessible. There are some public web services on the data, on the documents, so they should be aware of that. And we try from then on that they will not anymore have to exchange the same data through other systems. So it really has to apply the only once principle here, and we have to watch over that it's really happening. Then the third phase is like this platform will be compulsory for everyone, for every participant. The 308 municipalities and 5 provinces. This is not established yet, this date. Anyway, a transition period will be necessary, but there is a new decree now which changes the procedure, the approval procedure, and this could be an accelerant to this because people are conceptualizing this new decree. They want to use this digital platform, and could be a catalyst to this. And then, there's like a final phase, which is still in italic here mentioned, is that go to a completely digital plan layout procedure, so that the digital plan will have legal value also. So there, the last step would be, it would be digitally signed by the minister or by whoever has to sign it. And we think, well, it's necessary to do first the 3 previous steps to go to this. This is a situation at this moment for the local governments. These are the 308 the 308 municipalities from Flanders. The red outlines are the ones who already have stepped in formally. The other colors and shaded and the cross-hatched give different states of preparation. They are in the 5 provinces have already stepped in, all of them. This figure is a bit old because this province around Brussels has also stepped in formally. So 3 of 5 have stepped in formally. Okay, and that brings me to the second or the next explication is that it's not that our platform is already it's a finished business. That's not true. We are still developing expansions on it. So it's on air already, but we are still working on it. And we do a lot of expansions, and we've done already a lot of expansions at the first place, and the scope of the platform. For instance, we added some procedure step which was missing. The plans could be victim of annulment by the Councils of State, so we added that. Or we adapted to a new approval procedure for local plans, which was introduced last year. The new decree I was talking about will also add new procedure steps like start and scoping, so we are working on that now. That is an analysis phase. Then the second kind of expansions is on the functionality of the platform. And there, especially, it's important to work on linked and derived processes. Processes are linked on these spatial zoning plans. In the first place, we already generated a tool for post-processing of these financial plan benefits you saw in the beginning. This is really important for local governments because they are really struggling with this, with processing this information and make the data flow to the tax office. A second one is the module for digital procedural advice giving, I mentioned already. Then another example is optimizing the data flow for the right of preemption. This was a data flow which already exists, but we think with this platform we can make it better, make it less work for the local government also. Same is the last one, the inventories of vacant lots, which is a quite tedious task that the local governments have now, and we think with this platform we can also make life easier for municipalities. Some other expansions in the startup go about the general functioning of the platform, and there I will pick out some, for instance, improved possibilities of download or improved metadata, or working on SLD, which is the standard to let's say, coloring the spatial zoning plans. It has some limits, and that annoys us a little bit. We would like to make that better, so some symbols could shown better, and it's a bit tedious to make them also. And then last but not least, we built already some support tools for uploading the existing plans, and it is really useful for the local governments as well. Okay, that brings me to the real added value, which is maybe the core of my presentation. How do we convince these local governments? Because they will not do it because they like us. Maybe in most cases they don't like us very much. So how do we convince them to step in our platform, or our platform in the platform? Because it is a cooperation, as I said, but not every, of course, not every local government maybe sees the added value already. So in the first place, we think there are efficiency gains and cost savings made by this kind of platform. That's a generic objective of all SDI platforms, I guess, because we apply the concept of single collection and then a lot of reuse, multiple access and use. It is a motor of automation and further automation because the linked processes can be automated also. I've mentioned some examples of this. Secondly, we have the guarantee by the platform that we are consulting current and complete information. So what we are doing is creating a unique composite authentic source of this data. And this is a real useful source for instance, the layout procedures of this kind of plans. As I said, the 3 levels are making these plans. And one typical thing when you create a spatial zoning plan is you have to know the situation of other spatial zoning plans on the same spot you're creating the new one. And here you have everything together when the platform will be fully operational, of course. Secondly, we have a permanent monitoring base of the planned situation. I heard in some other sessions on this Congress talk a lot of the planned land use. Here we are creating the planned land use, and you could take some synthesis out of it with GIS analytic procedures or with business intelligence tools like ClickView or something. You can take a lot of information out of it because here you have everything together. Then, thirdly, it is a digital archiving of all the process steps, which is also interesting. If something goes wrong, we can find what happened, even if it's a stopped procedure, whatever. It's a lot of input for, it's a good input, for reports, studies, research. A lot of this research and studies, they need this information. And we have a lot of requests of research institutes who asking the sum of all this or all the spatial zoning plans applicable, and still today we cannot give a detailed answer. And it's a very solid input for other digitalization projects, like for instance digital permits tool, which we are building also, and of course these zoning plans are like the evaluation tool for giving the digital, the evaluation source for giving these digital permits. Another example is the notary letter, which needs information about real estate. Now, specifically for the local governments, we also see some elements of added value. In the first place, the responsibility of the data quality in this platform will lies with every source manager of the data. This has as a consequence for local governments that they really only have to focus on their own information, on their own plans. This seems obvious, but in the past that was not always the case. Sometimes they had to, the local governments had to improve or make digital adjustments to plans of other administrative levels. There is a continuous updating of information. As I mentioned in the beginning, we have integrated all the existing exchange guidelines into one guidelines book, which is interesting for the most of the municipalities who outsource their job. They outsource the job of creating the plans, especially the digital aspects of it, so then can put this guidelines book as a terms of reference in attachment to the contract they're giving out. The post-processing of derived products gets easier. I gave the example of the financial plan benefits of the rights of preemption. This is also a very important added value for local governments also, because they're, as I said, they're sometimes really struggling with this. The advice module will become possible also for them, of course, for their own procedures. And then, of course, governments with none or very limited GIS knowledge or GIS infrastructure will, well, we like providing them a solution, so they just can adopt that solution. We will measure up, or stepping into the platform means that you measure up to the European Inspire Directive and its Flemish translations, which is the GDI decree. So we are doing it for them. We will also make the web services Inspire compliant. It's not the case yet, but it's on the planning. We have still a little of time. And of course, last but not least, and maybe quite important, I think with this platform we are really changing mentality in thinking more digitally and giving more attention to data reuse. That we see also as an important added value. Okay, if I still have a little time, I will mention some of the success factors we defined in the beginning of the project. And we now try to guard them, we now try to watch over them, because we think they are really important with this kind of developments. The first one is, phased approach, not doing everything at once. That is really important. Then you have to define quite good which comes first and which thing comes first and what comes later. The first one, as we see there, is fix a clear turning point. That's what I said a few moments ago about new plans and existing plans. We cannot reach the same quality standards on the older plans, but we try to establish good standards, high quality standards on the new plans. And it has to be clear for users of the data to which generation, as I might call it, the data they are retrieving belongs. That's why we will fix a turning point, like a date in the future, where we say from now on, every plan on the platform meets with this high standards, and everything that's before don't reach the same standards, which doesn't mean that some plans will reach these high standards also, but it's not a guarantee anymore. So it's like a starting point of the platform, and we are thinking about when to do it. Okay, the next one is taking account the heterogeneity of participants and digital data. That is also really important. We have 3 levels of government involved here. We have very different levels of process handling. As I said, many of them do outsourcing through IT contractors. So we have a very diverse landscape, especially in municipalities, as regards to experience, to knowledge, to level of investment they do in this kind of jobs. And also regards to the number, the complexity, and the age of involved plans. Some little municipalities have a lot of plans, can be very old plans. Some big municipalities have few plans, so that's really different. Different kind of users you have to take into account, professionals or other policy fields, win-win situations, of course. The second one is interesting there also, beware of retarding lead. That's what I mean with that is some local governments are further than we are as a department. They have better solutions already, and we have to be aware that developing this platform and these solutions, we are not like retarding them. We are not holding them back, and it's important also they will get frustrated. So we have to listen to them a lot as a regional organization. Enshrined in legislation, of course, and good management of the solution, and keep working on data quality as a final one. For instance, a big problem we have in Flanders is inaccurate base maps. As the plans are old already, they are linked on base maps, but the base maps are, have very different accuracy levels. Okay, if I still 1 minute, then I could show quickly the GeoViewer we built quickly. Yeah, just less than 1 minute. So just to make clear what you can do with it, with the information, we built our own viewer. It's not online already as a public viewer. It's already working internally, but not as a public viewer. And it's showing the data we're talking about. So yeah, you have, of course, a lot of navigation and selection possibilities, which I will not explain, but at a certain moment you can make a selection. For instance, here I've put a point where there are two plans. So you see the green plan. These are plan outlines, and the gray plans, which are regional plans. And then you can make the consultation, and you can retrieve the documents of this plan, which we selected here, and open one of the documents. This is quite an old document here, it's established in the 70s already. And then you can go to the details of that plan, and you don't see it very well on the screen, but we are in the purple zone there, which is a kind of industrial zone, and you can retrieve also the prescription from it, from that one. And then on the same spot is another plan, which was the green one, the green outline we saw. This is a very much newer plan, also a regional plan. You can retrieve the documents also. You can go to the details also. You see here the accuracy is much different than the previous plan. The previous plan was a 1/10,000 scale plan. This is linked on a cadastral plan, so it's much more accurate and more detailed. And here we are in the brown zone, and the brown zone gives another prescription. It's not that intelligent yet that it will tell you which of the two is, because there we have difficulties because of the different accuracies of the plans. So it's still interpretation of the user to understand what is applicable and what not. But what we do here is put everything quickly on your desk so you can make the interpretation. That is what we are doing, and so the platform works as a back office to reach this goal in the first place, to get everything quick on your desk and do whatever you have to do with this kind of information. So that brings me to the end of my presentation, and I will thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Peter. This was a very interesting presentation because it showed how does the government of the Flanders actually address one of the key challenges, which is how to make spatial data infrastructure accessible to the key stakeholders, which are the local governments, because the local governments very frequently, as we all know, lack the capacity, but also lack the commitment or rationale or motivation to actually pursue modernization of their processes and products. And I think that this was a very useful example because it showed that there has been a number of the support tools being developed. There has been a direct technical assistance provided to the local governments, but as well, there was a rationale, the reason provided. So the better reuse of the data, possibility of actually link up to the higher level, and so on and so forth. So I'm very glad that this is the way how it's going on in Flanders. I just got one little question here. This process was in a way vertical. You described it down from the level of the region to the level of the municipality. How is it going upwards? How does the Flanders, we could have seen, for example, on the map that there was a blank point in case of Brussels, which is, of course, one of the regions within the Belgium. So how do you coordinate at, let's say, the federal level in Belgium?
Well, yeah, we have a strange country, and Brussels is a peculiar situation. So the Flemish region does not comprise Brussels with respect to territorial issues. They have their own government and their own. that we have concerning to other like cultural issues we do, but not to territorial issues. So Brussels is out of scope here, but of course all the other municipalities, and we have other quite big cities like Antwerp and Ghent, of course they are involved. How do we do bottom up and top down? Well, as I mentioned in the beginning, we didn't do this alone. We really tried to involve the local governments in a work group, and we are defining this together, and we are asking a lot of feedback from them. And soon, especially when it will become obligatory for our participants, we have to establish a steering group. So make it a bit more formal to go further. Yeah. So we are really doing this together. I think that's the answer to my question. It's not a top-down solution. More questions?
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you for your presentation. And apart from that is necessary and that will be a very high benefit in some years and something like that, there is a budget that you have to, the different municipalities, take into account in order to do some additional things that in this year they will not revert to its necessity. My question is, how do you sell to all the municipalities that you need more information than the one that they really need, they have to take? Because the previous plans are different and the ones that you are going to do now in accuracy and in number of elements. How do you sell to this municipality that this will be good for some years, but not now? I don't know if you explain properly, because
you mean
apart from the different formats that you have to deal with, the different accuracies, I suppose there is one on in-base, but you have to sell the idea. How do
you mean that there is not a short-term
yes.
short-term gain for them, and how do we sell that? Yeah, that's a difficult one. Well, I think I was mentioning that when I was talking about added value. So they have some short-term objective they have to cope with. That's important. And well, we don't really have talked to all municipalities about this yet. We have done some information sessions, and we don't have the information yet of how every municipality reacts. So some of them are now like laying back still and waiting till it becomes obligatory, I guess. So we're not, I cannot say that we convinced them already yet. And one of the facts there will be the cost issue, and we are dealing like all over Europe, and in Belgium also we have diminishing budgets for the public sector. So this is a problem, what you are mentioning. But we try to do it focusing on the added value, but we will not convince every municipality with that. And the ones, so we like applying the carrot and the stick, and the ones we will not convince with the carrots, we will have to use the stick and get them into the platform. And I think there the degree will help also, because if then it's said you have to do it, but then there should be at least a kind of subsidies involved with it, which isn't the case at the moment. But it will be limited also because we don't have much money anymore. So, okay, we'll try. More questions?
Thank you, Peter. And I would like now to invite Joel Plana from our partner in organizing this conference, from the Institute for Cartography and Geology of Catalonia, to deliver us or to enlighten us about the way how the Institute helped the data providers to meet the metadata requirements. So, Joel, the floor is yours, please.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Good morning to everyone. My name is Plana. I work at the spatial data infrastructure of Catalonia, called IDEC, in the Institut Cartogràfic and Geològic de Catalunya, the ICGC, as the chairman have said before. 2 days ago, the head of the IDEC, Jordi Escriu, did a presentation to explain a general view about the IDEC, the data infrastructure, and to explain the strategies for the re-engineering of their components. I'm going to focus my presentation on the metadata, on the everyday task related with metadata, and its part in particular with their adaptation to the inspired requirements. That is part of the task in what the IDEC is involved for the last 10 months in order to boost its own update. Okay, I have organized the presentation in the following subjects. The context of the metadata task within the IDEC, the 2 main tasks carried out by the IDEC, the adaptation of the ICGC metadatas, and the regional cooperation, that is the subject of this session. And finally, I'm going to summarize the things to do and some conclusions. The IDEC is in charge of the management of the catalog service on the web. And in the catalog, we have more or less 40,000 metadatas of datasets in the catalog, and a bit less than 500 metadatas of services. Of those metadatas, 88 of datasets and 443 of services are related with the Inspired Directive because they was reported on the monitoring 2015. It has to be that in this slide, I would like to say that there is a huge difference between the number of the metadata in the catalog and the number of the metadata reported on the monitoring. And that is because of the ICG and other institutions of the region of Catalonia organize the metadata according with the distribution in sheets. However, the metadata reported in the monitoring describes the whole scope of the dataset. Another working way of the IDEC is the adaptation of ICGC metadata. To do that, first of all, we have to reorganize metadata information scope. It's the thing I have said before, to move from sheds to whole datasets. For example, it means that, for example, by the topographic dataset of Catalonia 1/5000 scale, there are more than 4,000 metadatas of dataset, and it means to move from 4,000 to 1 dataset. Then we focus on the strict linkage between metadata of datasets and metadata of services. And to do this task, we will have to modify ICGC template to incorporate inspired requirements, the identifier, conformant, and some elements our metadata didn't have before. The IDEC works in the way of the regional cooperation. with leading the working group called Inspire, where the local and the regional administration are represented, that is focused on, among other things, not only that thing, to obtain improvements on the IDEC profiles, improvements on the functionalities of the IDEC metadata edition tool that is related with the IDEC profile, and to obtain a new IDEC profile version and implement a new metadata edition tool in order to be conformant with all the requirements we have. About adaptation of ICG metadata. Why to adapt? Obviously, as to be able for the institute to report dataset and services property, the monitoring, in that case 2015, because IDEC profile, that is our regional standard, does not take in account some Inspire requirements. And besides, because the current edition tool is a desktop tool and a proprietary code application, so that it's not possible for us to do things like that, to add fields, to change some content or its internal structure and consistency. First of all, we have to decide or to select which datasets or which services will be adapted to be Inspire compliant, and the criteria were to select datasets related directly with the directive, with Inspire terms, and services related with them in case there were. Yeah. We have the list of the products. We did the metadata adapting Inspire compliant. How to do the workflow to obtain the three templates needed. We need a template for dataset, for vectorial data, another template for raster data, and a template for services. It's quite simple, as you can see, and handmade because of lack of automatic tools to create a metadata file that fulfill all ICGC requirements. So that we create a metadata file with our own tool, is called metadata. With that, we assure that the metadata will conform with our standard. Then check the file with Inspire Validator. Yeah, and we have to analyze the error reported because all our original metadata have some errors. And we have to correct manually the metadata. Not also is successful because sometimes the validator reproduces some errors that it's difficult to understand and it's difficult to arrange, so that if after the correct manually the Inspire validator and the IDEC validator it's okay, we have the template. There were cases when we had after to create another metadata file with the Inspire editor and join the two XML files to select the good parts of each file. The result of this simple workflow is that our metadata are conforming to all the ICGC requirements. We are conforming with the regional standard, IDEC profile, the ISO standards, and the Inspire requirements. For sure, this is not a work way to do in the future, and we have to think to improve our workflow and our metadata environment, so that the next step, and we hope, is to have a new platform based on the GeoNetwork technology before 2017, that will be easily upgradable with new requirements, and we hope it will improve the flow of metadata publication. Maybe next presentation we can explain that new platform and the use we have done. Okay, to adapt the presentation to the subject of the session, we would like to explain what are we doing in terms of regional cooperation. As I have said, there is a working group in the context of the Cartographic Commission of Cartography of Catalonia, that is a commission created by the government to boost the cartographic plan of Catalonia. As I have said, there are members from regional administration and local administration. The objective related with metadata is to make metadata task easier. We know people say that it's difficult to understand all the fields they have to fill. So that we have to make metadata related task easier through a new profile, a new metadata guide, and edition tool. Our work method is throwing working sessions, and we hope that we arrive to define a new EDAC profile, to define a new edition tool. That is how we have proceeded last month. First of all, we make a list of our regional standard, the DEC, with all the items of the standard and their correspondence with the current tool. And we organize that table with the main parts of the metadata schema, identification, quality, distribution, metadata, in order to make easy for the members of the group to exchange information between us. We received the comments by the working group members related with the EDAC profile. Main comments were related with the structure and content of the profile, and also related with naming and description of each field of the profile to make them more understandable for the users. The first result of these sessions and this to work together with them is to guide about metadata, one about data sets and the other about surveys. And the objective of this guide is to be the base to develop or to describe the new profile or regional profile, EDAC profile. And the guides want to be an easy document to see which fields are mandatory, which fields are optional, to appoint the recommendations of the inspired directive about each field, to match the name on the standard and the name on the tool, to point the multiplicity of each standard, of each field of metadata. And we hope it will be easy for the users to understand how to document a metadata. On the other hand, the same methodology have used to to extract opinions and comments about our own edition tool, to be able to implement in the new edition tool. Yeah. Okay, I have all the things I have explained until now is in what we have worked in the last month. However, it addressed, as I have said also, many tasks to do. From the ICGC perspective, we have to think and to incorporate the new templates conformant with Inspire, ISO, and IDEC. There's all the standards we have to be compliant to our production workflow. And for sure, rethink the criteria on metadata information scopes to pass from sheets to whole data set or series. And in the perspective of regional cooperation, we have to publish new version of metadata IDEC profile, the new catalog and edition tool with GeoNetwork technology, and to publish a metadata guide and to improve the guide, the drafts we have, and to show how to edit metadata easily to main users of metadata in our region. As a conclusion, to say that for the ICGC, the migration to GeoNetwork is understood as a nice opportunity to develop a completely new metadata edition and validation environment, overcoming to edit metadata files manually to satisfy Inspire requirements and our own requirements also. And in regional cooperation, we think is a useful mechanism, this methodology to work to know from metadata users what to improve on regional standards and related tools. That's all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Joel, for your presentation. I think it was very illustrative because it shows that indeed when we take and implement the metadata regulation, there are many, many challenges ahead, and there needs to be both internal processes within the authority, like the institute, as well as external processes, stakeholder engagement, and providing of a kind of easy-to-use tools for the users to be able to make any progress. Now, this is also, I think, a very important learning experience because there will be quite a challenge in the coming years when not just the metadata regulation, but also the data interoperability regulation will kick in. And there, I think, the challenge will be even, and the demand from the users for the guidance and support will be even much higher. But I think that this is a very optimistic outlook that you, despite all the challenges, manage to cope. Now, I'm not sure if the fourth speaker, Mrs. Agnieszka Gruchala, is with us, because I haven't seen her. So if not, then I think Joel is the last speaker for this session. So I would like to give to all of you an opportunity to ask Joel or any of the previous two speakers a question, as we have a few minutes left. So is there any question from the audience, please? Okay, if this is not the case, I would like to thank to all three panelists and to all of you for being with us today, and enjoy the lunch, and see you then in the afternoon on the continuation of the regional cooperation workshop. Thank you.